But first, President Biden says Iran could hold off on attacking Israel if a ceasefire deal in Gaza is reached. This is a top U.S. official in the region says a diplomatic solution is urgently needed to prevent a wider war between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Foreign correspondent Tom Soufi Burridge joins me now from Tel Aviv, Israel, along with senior Pentagon reporter Luis Martinez for more. Tom, what's the latest?
Diane, we're just getting word, actually, from U.S. officials that the director of the CIA, Bill Burns, will travel to Doha, Qatar tomorrow. We're also getting confirmation that he'll be joined by the Qatari Prime Minister, the head of Egyptian intelligence, and the head of Israeli intelligence, the Mossad. So it looks positive that the talks will at least take place tomorrow. This renewed U.S. push, we've seen U.S. envoys in Cairo, in Lebanon, addressing some of the major sticking points, trying to find solutions ahead of those formal talks tomorrow. At this point in time, it's still not clear exactly how Hamas will be represented at those talks, whether they will have direct formal representation or whether they'll be their position represented via the Qataris at those talks. It is a positive move. The U.S. push for this ceasefire deal has momentum, but at the moment there's no sign that actually there's been any kind of breakthrough on the detail. We know that there are various sticking points between the Israelis and Hamas, and there have been for months. And at this point in time, we can't really say whether or not there are positive signs on getting a breakthrough, getting a ceasefire in Gaza, and bringing more hostages home.
Louis, a U.S. official says the odds of both sides being able to agree appear low right now, and it's not even clear if Hamas will attend the talks tomorrow. So what could this mean for a potential attack from Iran and the potential for this war to expand into Lebanon?
Diane, as Tom just laid out, I mean, there's a whole big diplomatic initiative that's underway right now, and I think this whole meeting in Cairo that's supposed to take place tomorrow could really hold the key to the whole situation. We heard earlier this week from the National Security spokesman John Kirby that the United States was assessing that Hamas and potentially Hezbollah would be retaliating against Israel for the two assassinations. But when we heard Kirby say that it would be significant and that it could take place as early as this week. And that is the guidance that I think that this building here and that U.S. military officials in the region are working in tandem with local regional officials to plan out some kind of tactics to defend Israel should Iran launch drones and missiles at Israel. And so I think that's where the situation is right now. There's this sense of anticipation right now that was laid out by the administration that something could happen this week, but a lot hinges on the timing, potentially because of what's going on in Cairo right now. I think the whole world is waiting to see what actually emerges from that and how that will impact any decision-making, whether it be by Hezbollah or by Iran.
Now, the State Department just approved the sale of $20 billion worth of weaponry to Israel. So, Louis, how big of a deal is that, and what does it tell you about the level of concern right now?
Diane, it's a very big deal for Israel. They have been wanting these purchases for years, but there's this whole process that goes about in terms of the State Department ensuring that the contracts are signed properly and that the timing is correct. Now, while Israel has been looking for this for a long amount of time, for years, it's also going to take years for it to get to Israel. It's not as if this is some weaponry that's going to be used on the battlefield in a couple of months or even over the next year or so. These are big-ticket items. We're talking about more than 50 F-15 fighter aircraft, plus a whole plethora of other ammunition, artillery, tank ammo. All of that is going to have to be built from scratch, and that's going to take some time. But this is something that the Israelis, like I've said, have been wanting for quite some time, and they thought that the Biden administration had been slow-rolling it, along with other projects. Remember, the big focus point for the Israelis had been those 2,000-pound bombs that the administration had held up just a few months ago when there were concerns about a large-scale Israeli incursion into Rafah. That was eased a little bit by 500-pound bombs being released for Israel, but those 2,000-pound bombs are still being suspended by the Biden administration.
Tom Soufi Burridge, Luis Martinez, thank you.